Hi, I'm Scott McPherson. I'm one of the co-founders of ARC. Travis, also here, is one of the co-founders. We're here to try to explain what ARC is. What is the ARC ecosystem? I get a lot of questions about, what is ARC? Is it a token? Is it a cryptocurrency? Is it a blockchain? Is it an ERC20 token? And so hopefully I'll kind of put this all together and you'll come away with an understanding that we are a platform for developer adoption consisting of a few main components. And right now, if this is the state of the cryptosphere with hundreds of coins, I think 1,400 coins plus, I don't even know how many, just spread all over the place, and coins for everything, tokens for everything. I was in Miami last month walking around and looking at all of these upcoming ICOs and all these tokens and thinking, you're going to tokenize what? And how are you going to do this? And who are you going to hire? And how is it going to work? Because there's an insane amount of money being thrown at good ideas that you and I know are not going to happen. This is just not going to happen. So hopefully within this space, we see ourselves right here. And our first initial goal was to promote interoperability between blockchains, to create connections to other blockchains, to allow for a transaction on the ARC blockchain to execute something on a corresponding blockchain. And currently, this is where we're at. Right now, this is not something we're going to build or something we're going to do. At this moment, you can make a transaction on the ARC network and cause a corresponding transaction on Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum by using intermediary listener nodes, and we'll talk some more about that later. But this is up and running now. This isn't a promise of something that's going to be built. This is working. So our ecosystem has a lot of components. The core of it is our core blockchain. It is our own blockchain. It is not an ERC20 token. But we have a desktop wallet, the core blockchain, the ARC Explorer, which is online where you can monitor all the transactions, mobile wallets for iOS and Android, a ledger wallet, a hardware wallet that's integrated with our desktop wallet, a corporate structure in France, the SCIC. Smart bridge is our term that we're using to create connections between blockchains. Something new, the ARC deployer. We're very close to being in a position where we can give you a interface and you can configure your own blockchain, push a button and it pops out the other side ready to go. ACEs and encoded listeners are how we're using SmartBridge to connect blockchains together. A big basket of developer tools. ARC Virtual Machine is almost done. All of these things are all real components within our ecosystem. Again, this is not vaporware. This is not a promise. This stuff is already built, and some of this stuff is running in its second version, and I think our Explorer is actually on version 3. Someone just redid the whole thing using Vue. I think at the core of all this is our corporate structure. We are incorporated in France as an SCIC. I won't try to pronounce that, but loosely it translates to a cooperative society of collective interests. It is a legal framework set up in France where pretty much any entity, whether you're a volunteer, you're an end user, you're a corporate, you're a public organization, can become a shareholder and have a say in the future and the governance of ARC. And this is dovetails with our open source philosophy and our decentralized philosophy. Everything's open source. On GitHub, we've got 31 repositories, 6,500 plus commits. There's a lot of activity on here. There's always stuff happening. It's all open source. You can use it, you can modify it and fork it and give credit where credit's due. We're also a utility token listed on 12, well actually it's up to 14 exchanges. The biggest ones, Bittrex and Binance. I think we were at 2 cents almost a year ago when the our ARC network went live, and it went up quite a bit and then went down like everything else lately, and currently we've been hovering around $4, which is very exciting because if you participated in our initial token exchange campaign, you're up like 50,000%, which is a lot of fun. So at the very core of ARC is the ARC core. This started life with Crypty years ago, and it is a delegated proof-of-stake consensus blockchain. And at some point throughout history, it was forked to make Lisk. And some of us were involved early in Lisk and decided that this is not the way we want things to go, and reforked it off into ARC and stripped out an awful lot of stuff, a lot of security issues that unfortunately still remain, and made the ARC blockchain. It is delegated proof-of-stake consensus blockchain, which I think is the best consensus, and I'll explain why. It is extremely fast. It has 8-second blocks. I think our maximum transaction internal testing was 200 transactions a second, but we've limited that on our blockchain just for real-world applications. And within each transaction, there is an area that we call Smart Bridge. It's basically a field where you can insert a snippet of code or something that can be listened for on another node and then trigger an event on a connected blockchain. And that's basically how we're able to have communications with Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin. And although the first version of our blockchain has been running well for almost a year, there are some things that preclude effective development in the future. And so 2 or 3 months ago, they started rewriting the blockchain from scratch, completely from the ground up, completely new. There's no legacy code left from Crypty from years ago or from Lisk. And a lot of the processes that were just on one thread have been divided to run in a multi-threaded environment. And the bottom line is it's going to allow for a great increase in the number of transactions per second. It's going to allow for more stability and continue with fast block times, and just sort of future-proof our blockchain as we continue to roll out other elements of the ecosystem that are going to be using it as the core. So we use delegated proof of stake for a consensus system, and I think this is the best system out there. If you think about civilization and society and forms of governments and governance that have evolved, over hundreds of years of wars and fighting and battle and arguing, and it's most reasonable governments use some form of representative democracy. And we think that's going to work best in cryptocurrency also. I don't see proof of work surviving unless we figure out how to tap energy out of the sun, if these type of systems scale to anything approaching mainstream adoption. But with delegated proof of stake, delegates are elected. In ARC, we have 51 delegates. Those are the delegates who run nodes, servers, systems who are entrusted with securing the ARC network. And you would think that, okay, well, 51 delegates, that doesn't sound like very much. How can that be decentralized? But a lot of these delegates are elected into their position, and they have thousands and thousands of voters. And this whole system has evolved organically on its own so that many of the delegates act as pools. And many of the delegates return a percentage of their foraging rewards back to their voters. So their incentive is to keep things really secure, to use good hardware and not to screw up, because if they screw up, they're unvoted. And there's a lot of other delegates who are standby delegates who help relay transactions, who help support the network, and they are very excited about stepping into one of those 51 slots, because with every turn of the clock, every time one of the delegates forges a block, and they're 8-second blocks, they get a 2 ARC reward. And so it has come into a system where most delegates are pools. Most of them pay out the majority of their forging rewards back to their voters. They have an incentive to run things well. The voters have an incentive to use their ARC to vote for a delegate so they can get rewards back. And this actually keeps a lot of the tokens in circulation off the exchanges and being held. And this is another reason why it is a safe system that's going to be very hard to attack or take over. You would think, well, I'll just buy some ARC and I'll take over a delegate spot. Well, to do that right now, you'd have to buy about 1.4 million ARC. And if you tried to buy 1.4 million ARC, you would drive the price up astronomically because there's not that much ARC on all the exchanges at any one time. So there's this wonderful system of checks and balances that allow you to have a lower number of delegates that truly act in a decentralized way. I don't know who these delegates are. They're out there. But they're always up. We're like at 100% on all our nodes all the time. And the checks and balances allow for a very stable consensus mechanism that does not use the electricity of 4 small countries. Also, our voting system is the best out there. It's one account, one vote. You have some other DPoS systems where if you're a big fat whale, your fat vote holds the same weight whether you vote for one person or 101 people. So what happens there? You get a few fat whales that all vote for each other. Guess what? Cartel. That's it. It's not really decentralized. This is one account, one vote. If you're a fat whale and you want to spread your fat all over the place, you got to divide your wallet into several accounts. So it doesn't really matter if you vote for one delegate or you split it up 50 times and vote for 50 delegates. Your weight of your ARC, your weight of your vote, only counts once. And these are all things that make this a safe system, that make it decentralized, that make it impossible to take over. I mean, to get one delegate, to just buy one delegate would be crazy. To think that you could even begin to buy 26 it's impossible. It can't be done. So if anyone, poses that argument, and we hear that argument all the time, that it can be taken over and it's not decentralized and it's not secure because there's only 51 delegates, simply not true. Our desktop wallet is amazing. It is very user-friendly. It's very easy to use. You open it up, it works instantly. There's no blockchain to download. It works instantly. All your accounts are laid out. You can vote. You can have multiple accounts. You can send transactions. You can build a Lambo fund. When you send transactions, the confirmations are in 8 seconds, and you see them pop up right on the screen in front of you in 8 seconds. You don't, go shopping and pick up your kid and come back 4 hours later and go, oh, did my transaction go through? It's 8 seconds. It's right in front of you. It really is a great wallet. It's available on, all OSs. Another cool thing about our wallet is we have hardware integration with Ledger Wallet. You plug your Ledger into your laptop or computer or whatever, and right inside our wallet, your Ledger account opens up right alongside with all the other accounts. So everything that you do with your ARC, you do it in the wallet, and you can go to the Ledger and click on the Ledger button to confirm something, and there's the hardware security part of it, but it's a seamless integration and it works extremely well. Our desktop wallet version 2 is coming out. We're going to take the utility and the ease of use of our initial wallet, and everything is being recoded using Vue. And this applies to a lot of the other stuff in our ecosystem. It's being recoded and reconfigured to make it usable in the future, to make it easily maintainable. Our mobile wallet, we've got an iOS wallet and an Android wallet, and these are super slick too. They're easy to use. They're ergonomically beautifully designed, and everything that you can do on the desktop wallet, the functionality is also retained in the mobile wallets, and these are available right now. This stuff is already built. A few more screens of it. Developer tools, we want ultimately to have a core blockchain and a platform and have developers build stuff. And to build stuff, you need to have tools to do it with. And right now, we have 18 languages, API clients, wrappers. Out of these 18, 14 are completely done. It was 12 a couple weeks ago, now we're up to 14. Completely done. Not like we're going to do it, done. So if you're a developer, I hope that there's something here that you can use. If there's not, I don't know. So, and there'll be more. We'll continue to add to this. But it's a toolbox that exists. It's not a future toolbox. It's not something we're going to build and release someday. It's already there. So, getting back to the beginning of the talk, encoded listeners are the mechanisms by which we have built connections from one blockchain to another. And right now they run as independent nodes, and they listen for a trigger on the Arc blockchain, and they correspondingly execute an event, whether it's just a transaction or even a smart contract on the Ethereum network. You can do that right now. And up until a couple of weeks ago, these were one-way events. Transact something, trigger something using the Arc network, it goes one way out to Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin. They're two-way now. So they just had them going two ways, so now you've got bidirectional communication using the smart bridges and using these encoded listeners, which are just separate nodes. The ones that are working right now are by a community outfit that's sponsored by Arc called Arc Contract Execution Services. They run servers and have two-way connections for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, and there are many more coming, so this is exciting stuff. And if you want to start up your own listening node and interface with some other coin, you can do that right now. Stuff's all available. It's all open source. Stuff that's coming, that's almost done, the Arc virtual machine. We are porting Ethereum virtual machine to Arc. It's going to be a module, so you can run Ethereum-style smart contracts using the Arc virtual machine on the Arc blockchain. Similarly, another module, the interplanetary file system, if you want to store things, that's going to be a module that you're going to be able to use and integrate with the Arc blockchain. Not the Arc core blockchain, but your own blockchain, because that's what this is all building up to. I got to stick this in somewhere. This doesn't really fit with anything right now, but we do a lot to promote education. We're present at a lot of hackathons. We spend quite a bit of money supporting things. And most recently we were at Cambridge for a hackathon, and there's more coming up in the future because, as I alluded to earlier, finding developers is, near impossible who really know what they're doing. And a lot of projects are going to be struggling with this now and into the future. A couple other things that our team is working on. These things are far from being done, but some of our team members are passionate about building Internet of Things devices, NFC devices, and a smart card network for storing and exchanging Arc. And so I think this stuff will happen down the road. So this is all building up to soon what we are going to deliver, push-button blockchains or deployable blockchains that are configurable that you can use to customize for whatever your needs may be, to have your own blockchain. So as opposed to building something on top of Ethereum, which is becoming more bloated as time goes by, or trying to develop your own blockchain from scratch, which is a 2-year job, at least, or forking something else and trying to bend it and modify it to fit your needs, we're going to have a solution for all of that. And we actually just released the Arc deployer, and right now this exists in script and kind of command line world, where you can configure and instantly deploy your own blockchain based off Arc in a matter of minutes. And ultimately, soon, it'll be graphical user interface, where you'll be able to select a whole bunch of parameters, your block times, how many nodes you have, any parameter of a blockchain, how many tokens there are, you'll be able to customize. And then if you want to integrate modules, if you want to run smart contracts on your blockchain, you can integrate the Arc virtual machine. If you have storage that you want to do, you can integrate interplanetary file system. So with configuring your own blockchain and adding in this available palette of modules that we have, you push the button and out the other end comes your own blockchain configured for what you need to do. And there's going to be a million applications that I can't even dream up that this stuff is going to be used for. I'm not smart enough for that. But you know, if you're a medium-sized retailer and you've got 20 stores, you know, you can, within a very short amount of time, you can spool up your own blockchain that works for your own store. And whether you're using it for, you know, inventory or scheduling or keeping track of financial stuff, it's easy to do. And you don't have to have a central server in an ivory tower someplace with a database doing all this. You can have your own blockchain connecting. And this is one example of like a, you know, medium-sized retailer. But that's what we are very close to being done with, is having the ability to deploy customized blockchains that you can tweak to whatever needs you may have. All of this stuff is outlined very well on our roadmap. It's all available online. There's also far greater detail into all these steps, much more that I'm able to elaborate on here in the blogs. There's lots of blog releases that are go into fantastic detail about all the stuff that we've built and about what's coming in the future. But the summary is, ARC is a lean, efficient core blockchain with a lot of developer tools to Yes. See, that won't happen with ARC. We're not going to run out of power. It's going to just keep going and going. So what did I say? I don't even know what I'm saying. I just blabbed for half an hour. So a lean, efficient blockchain, a toolbox of developer tools so you can build stuff with, and a mechanism to push a button and create your own blockchain without having to start from scratch, and without having to be an expert in blockchain development. And the push-button blockchain thing is really exciting because it really now is pretty simple and it's getting easier. You know, right now you can deploy an ARC clone with all the nodes running on a seed server. Everything's going. Even the ARC Explorer, you know, while it integrates with it, everything that we've built is suddenly your own world in your own blockchain. And you know, you would spool up your own blockchain with Genesis delegates and then go ahead and replace those with, you know, community members or stores or whatever that you wanted to do to have a blockchain. And I think that's it. So Travis and I will take questions out at the table because he's much smarter than I am. And thank you all for listening to me babble for half an hour.